Hey guys, my name is Mitsumiyo, and today I'm excited to say that we have finally gotten our very first look at one of the new operators coming to Rainbow Six Siege, and his name is Warden. Now, I will fully admit, at least from a visual standpoint, I think he has to be one of the coolest looking characters introduced into the game. I think Ubisoft has done a fantastic job, at least with his character design. But when we take a look at his loadout, that's where things get a bit more interesting. So apparently he's going to have access to a gadget called Glance Smart Glasses. The way that they work is that this eye protection will improve visibility in smoke while standing still. So very similar to the way that Glaz is going to work in this upcoming update. As soon as you start to move though, that effect diminishes or goes away entirely. And so if you do want to peer through smoke because you're trying to take out the people that are planting the diffuser, you have to stand still for a short period of time. That's one way I imagine they're trying to balance this out and make sure that it doesn't become a little bit too powerful. On top of that though, you'll be able to activate it for a short period of time, which will protect against or reduce the flash effect from flashbangs. And so if Ying is trying to make her way onto the objective, she's tossing her gadget all over the place, or simply just flashbangs are flying around everywhere, you activate this, and while I don't know if it will remove the flash entirely, maybe if they land at your feet, because it even says it will only reduce it in some cases, this will be a really powerful tool to stop those really aggressive plays. Now, what I find even more interesting about Warden, though, are the weapons that he's going to have access to. He's going to be able to use the MPX, which was normally only available to Valkyrie in the past, and he's also going to be able to use the Shoddy, which is available to the SAS operators. Now, the reason why I'm intrigued by this loadout is I think that most people would agree the MPX is one of the weaker weapons in the game. It's not awful, it's a decent weapon in the right hands, but compared to a lot of the others that are available to the defensive team, it is a bit more lackluster. Ubisoft has even admitted the reason why this hasn't gotten an upgrade is because normally Valkyrie, the one that was only able to use it before, was incredibly powerful. She already has one of the strongest gadgets on defense. You guys all know that her cameras can mean the difference between defense winning and losing. They are that strong, and so to ensure that she doesn't become overpowered, they've never given the MPX an upgrade because they felt like someone with that good of a gadget shouldn't have also an amazing weapon at the same time. And so when we take that same philosophy on over into Warden, Ubisoft clearly thinks that his gadget is going to be a game changer. Now, who knows? Maybe he's going to have access to an ACOG. He is 3 armor. You guys all know that Ubisoft has the policy where only 3 armored operators are going to be able to use that attachment, and so maybe that's going to be the case here. According to the technical test servers, though, where people were able to play as him, that wasn't the case. Some are speculating that it might be a placeholder and he might have a completely different loadout when we do actually get the official reveal, but it seems like that's going to be less and less likely. And so I'm really excited to see how all of this is going to play out. I will admit, he does seem very situational, but on the right objective and on the right map, he may become a must pick, especially with a Mira, for example. If you have him paired with a Mira, it might be a really difficult combo to work around. He sits behind the Mira the entire time. Doesn't matter if you put down a smoke screen, he's still going to be able to see you. That might be the thing that elevates him to that next level and really solidifies him as that anchor that you want to have on some of those objectives, but of course only time will tell. Now, as for the offensive side, we have probably one of the scariest new additions into Rainbow Six Siege, and her name is Nokk, or Nokk. I'll be completely honest, I have no idea how to pronounce her name, but her actual loadout looks terrifying. So her gadget will allow her to remove her image from observation tools like cameras, but it will also reduce her noise with exceptions. I'm not entirely sure what it means by with exceptions. Maybe her switching of weapons, for example, is still going to make noise, but this is basically Vigil and Cav in one character, but for the offensive team. Now, right now, we don't know what is going to counter this. I'm sure there is going to be some indication that she's nearby. I would be very surprised if that was the case, because if not, she's going to be a terror for the defensive team. But overall, I think one thing that is going to balance her out a little bit is her weapons, just like Warden. She is going to have access to the FMJ9, which, as you guys all know, is the same weapon that Smoke uses, and many people don't even like to use that because it seems to be lackluster, and the 612 SD Shoddy. Now, the first time I saw this loadout, I scratched my head a little bit because, like I said, most people find the FMG9 to be fairly lackluster. It really isn't all that powerful, especially when you compare it to basically every other offensive operator in the game, even the new ones. They always come out with weapons that are really powerful at long range. That just isn't the case here. And so this really makes me think that her gadget is going to be very powerful. Maybe defenders won't even know that she's nearby with a fuzzy effect like Vigil does when she has her gadget activated and she's near that specific camera. That's a possibility. And because also it reduces her audio and the noise that she generates, she might be one of the best operators at just rushing the objective. She is 2 armor, 2 speed, so she isn't going to have the speed advantage like Ash, for example. But if you can sneak on in with literally no one knowing that you're there because the cameras just can't detect you and you're making less sound, yes, you may not have the best weapons available to you. It's not going to matter when they just don't know that you're there and you can catch them by surprise. And so overall, the big reveal on Sunday cannot come soon enough because I cannot wait to see how she works in reality. A lot of people are scared with Cav right now. I can only imagine what Nokk is going to be like when she finally does get released. Now, that isn't the only good news that came out recently. You guys may have noticed that there's been a lot of glitches lately. We actually made a video yesterday talking about how Clashes, for example, were glitching out their character where they could literally make it so that you could use your primary weapon as Clash, but then you would also still have the protection of your shield. IQ was able to go invisible by somehow manipulating her claymore. You had other operators that had deployable shields in front of their face, making it almost impossible to take them out. These are, of course, game-breaking. Now, what's amazing, though, is that Ubisoft has responded. What they've done is that Clash, the deployable shield, and claymores are no longer going to be available until these are fixed. Now, I know that not everyone is going to be thrilled by this news. Some people really enjoy playing as Clash, and not everyone was taking advantage of these glitches. But I really do think that this was a smart choice. It might make some maps a bit more difficult. Skyscraper immediately comes to mind. A lot of runouts happen on that map, and no longer having access to this attachment is going to make things a little bit more challenging, but I think you would rather have that than IQ literally going invisible and taking every single person out on the defensive team. That, I think, is something that takes priority, and so I'm really happy that they've made this decision. The final thing that we learned about today is that Ubisoft is making some pretty big changes to the way that ranked works, and it's no longer going to be the same experience. The first big change is that they're introducing the pick and ban system. A lot of you already know how this works, but essentially at the start of a match, both teams are going to be able to select one offensive and one defensive character and eliminate them from the pool of selection. So 4 operators total are no longer going to be available. On top of that, though, they're also moving to the 3-round rotations. The way that this works is that now you play on defense 3 times in a row, and then after that, win or loss, you switch on over to the other side. What I loved about this when we were able to play it on the 6 Invitational event was that as a defender or on offense, you could change your strategy on the fly. And so instead of having this break where now you're a defender when you were an offense, you can now think, okay, we didn't do well on that objective. What can we do differently? And then you can act accordingly. It felt a lot more natural, and it made a lot more sense when you were actually playing that way, and so I'm glad that they decided to add that into the ranked experience. And then finally, Bomb is going to be the only game mode available. The other 2 are no longer going to be even an option when you play in ranks. I realize that some people aren't really too fond with this change, and I think it's kind of odd that Ubisoft decided to go with this because there was already a way for you to no longer have to deal with those game modes if you saw fit. If you're someone who just wanted to play Secure the Area, you could do so. You had that option, or if you wanted to just play the more competitive mode, that of course was available as well. Now I understand that they're probably doing this because they want to design their future maps, or they want to really balance the game around one specific mode. I understand that it is the more competitive one, but to no longer give players those options, especially if they don't want to play ranked as competitively as others, they just want to have fun with it, but they don't want to play casual because, let's be honest, casual can be a little frustrating at times. To remove that option, I understand why people aren't really too fond of that. But at the same time, I can also see why Ubisoft made that change too. But yeah, guys, that is what it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about these two new operators. Are you looking forward to their gadgets? Do you think they're going to be mixing up the meta in a meaningful way? How do you think that's going to happen? Let me know down below in the comments. Like I said, I cannot wait for Sunday. The big reveal is going to hopefully clarify a lot of the things that we don't know right now, and so I'm really excited about that. I hope you guys are too. But yeah, guys, until next time, have a good one and take it easy.